Okay, I'm here in my kitchen with the ingredients to make some turkey chili. Right here I have some zucchini squash, what is this, celery. I have some heirloom tomatoes. I have an onion, a pepper. This is some kind of chili pepper, but I'm not sure what kind. I have a bell pepper, some cloves of garlic. I have some rainbow carrots. I have some palm oil that I'm going to use to saute all my veggies. I have a can of kidney beans, some Great Northern beans, some black beans, and some garbanzo beans. Of course, the beans are optional. I just like to put beans in my chili to really make it hearty. I have the seasonings I'm going to use. Right here I have some cayenne pepper. I have some paprika, some turmeric, which I put like turmeric in everything. I have a bit of chili powder, which I'm almost out. Here are some black peppercorns, which I have to pound to make some black pepper. My Himalayan pink salt. And right here I have 2 pounds of ground turkey meat. So let's get started. Okay, so I have a whole onion that I cut in half. And now I'm just going to kind of rough chop this onion so that I can saute it. I'm not really actually doing a great job of chopping, but half of this I'm going to chop to saute in the pan with my spices, and the other half I'm going to put in my blender container and blend up kind of like an onion puree. I'm going to blend that up with my tomatoes. Okay. I have about 1, 2, 3, 4 or 5 or so garlic cloves that I've already smashed. That's what I do to my garlic. That's how I get them out of the little house that they live in. Okay, so I just smash those and just going to chop these up, and these are all going to go into my pot with the oven. With the onions. So I use onion and garlic all the time to season a lot of my food. So instead of buying onion powder or garlic powder, you can always use freshly chopped onion and garlic instead. You can even freeze them too if you don't want to always have to chop onions and garlic every time you're going to cook something. Okay, so I have 1 whole bell pepper that's cut in half, and just kind of pull the little seeds out with my hands like that. And then I'm going to chop this as well. So I'm going to slice it first, and then I'm going to chop it and kind of throw that in after I've sauteed my onion and garlic. But I just kind of like to get all of this stuff out of the way first, so I don't have to like run back and forth to my cutting board cutting and chopping up things, This kind of makes it easier. Okay, so I have my I don't know if you can see, they have my blender container here. So I have it over here because what I'm going to do with my heirlooms, which these are just heirloom tomatoes. I love using these because of the variety of flavor that they offer. So I'm just going to kind of quarter these like this. And I've done this before on plenty of videos where you've seen me just kind of dropping them inside my blender container so that I can make tomato sauce. So, and depending on the kind of blender, like you don't have to use this step. You can get a store-bought sauce, but I just kind of like the freshness and the different flavor that this adds when you do it this way. So depending on the kind of blender you have, you might have to blend your tomatoes in batches, and you might not be able to put your onion in there to blend as well. So you don't have to. I just like doing it that way because I think it kind of adds to the sauce, the flavor of the sauce. So I just kind of have these stuffed, oops, a little bit got away. I had this stuff down in here. I'm going to move this so you can see that. So that's pretty full. I'm going to blend this for probably about 30 seconds and then put my onion on top. Okay, so I kind of have it blended how I want. So I'm just going to take this other half of onion and just drop it on top of that. And it's not super pureed. You know, I still kind of like a lot of you know, some chunks in there. So just to kind of give you an idea of what that's looking like, and then I'm just going to blend the rest of this out. So I have my carrots here, so I'm just going to give those a nice slice along with my celery. And I'm going to, once I get my, after I cook the, well, not cook, but yeah, after I cook the turkey and have all my seasonings in there, then I'm going to add, you can slice these however you want, thick, thin, or you know, you can leave the carrots out. It's really optional. This recipe is actually really versatile. You can put in as little or as many different types of varieties of vegetables as you want. So after I cook my turkey meat, I'm going to add in my carrots and my celery and just let it go from there. Chopping my celery to go into this dish as well. I have my little helper here who's helping himself to some carrots. Are those good? So these are the carrots that I just chopped. So he likes to watch me cook, so he's been helping himself to my freshly chopped carrots. You gonna help mommy cut up the zucchini next? Okay. And last on the list, we have our pepper, and I just kind of pull the seeds out of the inside, oops, and spill them all over my little cutting board. Of course, feel free to leave the seeds in there, but I am not that bold. I mean, I guess it won't be too spicy, you know, depending on the kind of pepper you had. You know, it's not like it's a Scotch bonnet pepper or anything like that. But I still like to remove the seeds just to kind of cut down a bit on the spice. So, I mean, sometimes some of the seeds are still left in there, and that's okay. So I'm just going to kind of slice these up, careful not to pop any of the juice in my eye, like I have done before on numerous occasions. And then we're going to start actually cooking now that all our prep work is done. This is a little side note. See this thing right here, my mortal, how the heck do you say this? I always mess this name, mortal and pestle. I wanted one of these so bad because I was like, oh, I want to ground out my own spices. So that's why I got these whole peppercorns and a lot of other whole spices. Well, a lot of my recipes I don't use pepper in now because it just takes me an extra 10-15 minutes to like bang out these little seeds. So yeah, like anybody can recommend any good spice grinders because I'm like so over banging out my own spices. Like really, I'm over it already. So I have my 5.5 quart Dutch oven here, which I use all the time, as you probably can tell by the inside of my pot. And right here I have my red palm oil. You can use any kind of oil you want. So I don't know, I guess that's probably about a tablespoon or two. And I'm going to use this to saute my onions and garlic. So I'm just going to let that heat up a bit, and I'm going to throw in my onions and garlic and get the party started. Okay, so the oil is nice and smoky. I'm going to just toss these in there. Let those cook down a bit, and then I'm going to throw my seasoning in. Of course, I'm going to give this a stir. Nothing like the smell. Oh, I have my heat on medium-high. Nothing like the smell of fresh onions and garlic. Like seriously, nothing like it. So right now, like I have my paprika. I'm not measuring this. You can add as little or as much as you like, depending on your family. I have my chili powder, which I need to get more of. Or of course you can, you know, if you make your own chili powder blend, then by all means use that. I have my cayenne, so got a bit of that in there. And like I said, I always use turmeric because I don't know, I just love to. So I have that down in there. I'm not going to put my salt in yet. Kind of save that towards the end a little bit. So this smells wonderful. And because I'm just kind of doing this as like a one pot dish where I can put everything in here, where I can just kind of layer it, I didn't cook my meat separately because that's the great thing about a one pot recipe like chili or soups and different things like that. You can just kind of put everything in here at one time. So this is my ground turkey. I did not season this. You can season yours if you want to, like the day before or something like that. But I just kind of like to put it in here since I'm already using a lot of seasoning in my onion mix. So I kind of like to put it in here and let it brown a bit, and then see what other seasonings I might need. Of course, salt and pepper. But like I said, I don't like to do that right away. So this is 2 pounds of ground turkey. And I'm just kind of putting this in here a little bit at a time and breaking it up as I go, so that it can cook how I want it to, you know, kind of like crumbly. So I'm just going to keep stirring this and continue breaking this up with my spoon. Okay. my turkey's coming along. You know, you can kind of let it sit for a minute and cook, and then you can turn it and start breaking it up. So I'm going to get my famous ground out pepper here. I don't have a lot. I actually need to ground out some more, but it's not going to happen today. And I'm going to put a bit of, this is my Himalayan pink salt. I buy this in the bulk section, so that's why it's in this this jar right here. And I'm just going to put a bit over the meat. Not too much, because, you know, there's still other things that I have to add to this. Like, I still haven't added my pureed tomatoes or anything else like that. I'm just trying to get this meat done. So, it's coming along. Actually smells delicious just from the different spices that I put in here. And actually, you know, like if you don't want a lot of vegetables in your chili, like if you just kind of like all about the meat, you can actually, once you cook this turkey or buffalo meat or whatever you're using, once you cook it, you can just add your sauce to it and then just let it simmer on the stove that way. But I just kind of like to put a bunch of different things in mine. So now, see how it's nice and crumbly? So this was fresh ground turkey that we got from our local grocery store. So you kind of have to work with this a bit. So they, you know, they will grind it out for you right there on the spot. So that's kind of how I want this to look. Now I'm going to get my pureed tomatoes and onion, which I actually have quite a bit, so I really don't know if I'm going to need this whole container, but I'm just going to pour it in here and see. So I poured almost half. Let me just go ahead and put half of it. Well, I just poured a little bit more than half of it. I don't know if you can tell in here. And I know you're looking like, why does the tomato sauce look like that? Well, when you use fresh tomatoes before you cook it, it kind of has, you know, it has like a raw color and a raw-ish tomato smell to it. But the more it cooks, it turns like a really bright red color, the kind of color that you're used to seeing in the tomato sauces that you buy in the store. So this is how I want it. It's a bit soupy now, but this is going to cook down. Now I'm going to add my my bell pepper and my hot pepper to this, because I want that to cook in my sauce with my chili, spices, and my onions and my turkey meat. So just to give it all a nice, delicious flavor. So actually, maybe I might, once it start cooking down a bit, I actually might need to add the rest of that sauce. But it's always to add it a little bit at a time. So if you don't like red sauces or anything like that, you can always add some kind of broth to yours instead, like a vegetable broth or beef broth or, you know, something like that, or chicken, or, you know, depending on what your flavor is, what you like to do. Sorry folks, my camera battery died. So this video is now being recorded on my iPad. So anyway, this is what the sauce, I kind of let it boil a little bit. It's looking how I want it to look. Now I'm just going to add my carrots and celery to the mix, and I'm just going to let it cook for about 30 to 40 minutes. So here are my carrots and my celery, and I'm just going to kind of bring you over here, and you get the idea that I'm going to add this into the pot. I can't really do it holding this big chunky iPad, so just to kind of show you that. Went in pretty much right, maybe 15 minutes or so before the soup is done, along with the beans, because those are, doesn't take long to cook zucchini, and you don't want it to end up like zucchini mush. Okay, and the beans are, let me move these to the side. The beans are also going in last because, again, those are already cooked, so all you're doing is just heating those up. So the soup is really boiling. Sorry, I'm using my iPad because my camera is dead. So back to shaky video. And see how the color has changed? My tomato sauce. So it looks like I didn't need the whole container of tomato sauce. I probably used maybe about 2/3 or so of the container. So, you know, you can use as much or as little as you like. So basically what I'm doing now is I'm kind of cooking the carrots down. Now, if you want your carrots or your celery to kind of have a little bit of a crunch to your soup, then, you know, you don't have to cook it that long. But I kind of want it to cook down a bit more. So, and I want to get a bit more flavor into my tomato sauce because I didn't use a canned sauce with the flavors and seasonings already in it. So I'm just going to keep letting this cook. I'm going to turn my fire down to maybe about medium low, and then we'll see what it looks like in about 40 minutes. Okay, I just checked the chili. Oops, trying to find my spoon here. And the carrots are nice and tender. Well, they're not too tender. They're not mushy. Just how I want it. So now I'm going to add my beans and my zucchini. Okay, so what I did here is, as you can see, well, you probably can't tell, but I decided to only use half a can of each of the different beans, just because, you know, I thought that maybe it probably would end up being too much if I would have used 4 whole cans of beans. So I'm going to put this into my chili, and I'm going to show you what it looks like. Okay, so here's my turkey chili. Just turn the fire off. I didn't add the zucchini after all because, you know, actually I forgot about it. And then as I looked at it, I realized it probably didn't need that. So, this is it. This is the finished product here. You can see. So, and it's nice and juicy. I'm going to serve this with some brown rice and some herb cornbread. And it smells great too. So depending on how my family likes this, either it'll all be going tonight or I'll have this for leftovers for a couple of days. So there you go. Remember, like I said, you can really, this recipe is very versatile. You can really do it any which way you like. Hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching. Bye.